Hello viewers, welcome to our channel Career Prep. In this video, we'll solve a few problems based on installments in the topic simple interest. Since questions based on this topic are most frequently asked in competitive exams, it makes sense to understand the concept well. Problems are dealt with in this video along with clear explanations to make you understand the concept clearly. Before we begin, please subscribe to our channel. Also press the bell icon to get notifications as soon as we post a new video. So let's start. Let's understand the concept of installment. Now, installment problems can be solved using the formula 100a divided by 100n plus rn multiplied by n minus 1 divided by 2. In this video, we'll solve installment problems without using the formula in an easy way. But first, let's understand the meaning of a few terms. Principal or loan. A sum of money that is borrowed which has to be paid back with interest is the principal or loan. Down payment. Down payment is the amount that is paid initially while buying an article or taking a loan. The rest of the money is paid in the form of installments along with interest. If there is a down payment, then the difference between the sum borrowed and the down payment is the principal. That is, you have to subtract the down payment from the sum borrowed and the remaining money is the principal. If there is a zero down payment, then the sum borrowed itself is the principal. Installment. An installment is a regular payment made by the borrower to the lender in order to pay off a debt over a period of time. So a borrower borrows some money from the lender, and to pay off that money, the borrower makes regular payment over a period of time. This regular payment is known as the installment. Amount or debt. Installment plus interest is amount or debt. Rate percent per annum. The interest that the borrower has to pay each year for every 100 rupees borrowed is known as rate percent per annum. The rate of interest is denoted by the letter R. Time. The time for which the borrowed money has been used is called the time. Time is denoted by T. Installments can be paid with simple interest or compound interest. In this video, we'll learn about installments paid with simple interest. Let's now understand the concept of installments paid with simple interest. In simple interest, an installment refers to a regular payment made by the borrower to the lender in order to pay off a debt over a period of time. So installment is nothing but the regular payment made by the borrower to the lender over a period of time so that he can pay off the debt. Now each payment includes a monthly or quarterly or half yearly or annual installment, which is a portion of the principal amount borrowed, as well as an interest based on the outstanding balance. So each regular payment made by the borrower includes an installment, which is the portion of the principal, plus an interest which is based on the outstanding balance. Now remember that rate of interest is always given per annum. So if the payment is made in monthly installments, then while calculating interest, divide the given rate of interest by 12 to get the monthly rate of interest. If the payment is in quarterly installments, then while calculating interest, since there are 4 quarters in a year, divide the given rate of interest by 4 to get the quarterly rate of interest. If the payment is in half-yearly installments, while calculating interest, since there are 2 half years in a year, divide the given rate of interest by 2 to get the half-yearly rate of interest. So, now if X denotes monthly or quarterly or half yearly or yearly installment, and R is rate percent per annum and T is the time, then for every particular period of time, the amount to be paid is equal to X plus interest based on the outstanding balance. So always for every particular period of time, the amount to be paid is the installment plus the interest based on the outstanding balance. Note that the interest charged at the end of each of the subsequent periods of time would keep on decreasing as the outstanding balance keeps on decreasing. So at the end, the entire debt would be paid off. So now this total amount that is paid, so that the entire debt is paid off, is equal to the principal borrowed and the interest on that principal. That is P plus PRT by 100. The types of problems in installment are mainly of two types. Problems where no down payment is made and problems where down payment is made. Now problems will be of the type where you are asked to find installment when a debt or due amount is given, or you may be asked to find installment when loan or borrowed amount is given, or you may be asked to find the debt or amount, or you may be asked to find the rate of interest. Let's solve a few problems on each of these types. What annual installment will discharge a debt of rupees 2,360 due in 4 years at 12% per annum simple interest? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here you are given the debt. Debt is nothing but amount. So amount is rupees 2,360. Rate of interest is given as 12% per annum and time is given as 4 years. This means that the amount of rupees 2,360 has to be paid off in 4 years at the rate of interest of 12% per annum. And we are asked to find the annual installment. So let's assume that the annual installment is rupees 100. Now we can assume the annual installment to be any number, but since rate of interest is given in percentage, if we assume the annual installment to be rupees 100, then the calculations will be simpler. So the debt has to be paid off in 4 years. This means payment has to be done for 4 years. Now at the end of each year, the payment made includes the installment plus an interest. Now installment will be the same for the 4 years. The installment is the annual installment that we have assumed. But the interest will change for each year because the number of month and the number of years that the payment has to be made keeps on decreasing. So the interest also keeps on decreasing as the number of years keeps on decreasing. So the interest changes for each year. Now at the end of the first year, installment is rupees 100. Interest is 100 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 3 divided by 100. Now 3 because still 3 more years payment has to be made. Now the 100 in the numerator and 100 in the denominator gets cancelled and we are left with 12 multiplied by 3, which is 36. Now you can see why assuming annual installment as 100 has made the calculation simpler. So now we don't need to always write this step. Just remember that to calculate interest, you have to take into consideration the rate of interest and multiply it with the number of years still left over for payment to be made. So at the end of the first year, the interest is 12, which is the rate of interest, multiplied by 3 because still payment has to be made for 3 more years. So 12 multiplied by 3 is 36. Now at the end of the second year, installment to be paid is rupees 100. Interest to be paid is 12, which is the rate of interest, multiplied by 2 because still payment has to be made for 2 more years. So 12 multiplied by 2 is 24. At the end of the third year, installment is rupees 100. Interest is 12, which is the rate of interest, multiplied by 1 because payment has to be made for 1 more year. So 12 multiplied by 1 is 12. At the end of the fourth year, installment paid is rupees 100. There is no interest to be paid because the debt is paid off at the end of the fourth year. So only the annual installment is to be paid at the end of the fourth year. Now total amount paid here is equal to the principal plus interest. So here total amount paid is 100 plus 100 plus 100 plus 100, which is 400, plus 36 plus 24 plus 12, which is 72. So amount paid is 400 plus 72, which is 472 when the annual installment is rupees 100. Now we are asked to find what is the annual installment when the amount is rupees 2360. So if the amount is rupees 472, then annual installment is 100. If the amount is rupees 2360, then annual installment is equal to 2360 multiplied by 100 divided by 472. On solving this, we get the annual installment as rupees 500. The correct answer is option B, 500. What monthly installment will discharge a debt of rupees 13,000 due in 5 months at 24% per annum simple interest? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here debt is given. Debt is nothing but amount. So amount is equal to rupees 13,000. Rate of interest per annum is given as 24% per annum. Now since monthly installment is being paid, we have to find the monthly rate of interest. To find the monthly rate of interest, just divide 24 by 12. So 24 by 12 will give the rate of interest as 2%. So 2% is the monthly rate of interest. Time is given as 5 months. Now this means that the amount of rupees 13,000 has to be paid off in 5 months. Now we are asked to find out the monthly installment. So let's assume that the monthly installment is rupees 100. Now we know that the amount has to be paid off in 5 months. So payment has to be made for 5 months. Now this monthly payment will include the monthly installment plus interest. So at the end of the first month, installment paid is rupees 100. Interest paid is 2, which is the monthly rate of interest, multiplied by 4, which is because payment has to be made for 4 more months. So 2 multiplied by 4 is rupees 8. At the end of the second month, installment paid is rupees 100. Interest paid is 2, which is the monthly rate of interest, multiplied by 3 because payment has to be made for 3 more months. So 2 multiplied by 3 is rupees 6. At the end of the third month, installment is rupees 100. Interest is 2, which is the monthly rate of interest, multiplied by 2 because payment has to be made for 2 more months. So 2 multiplied by 2 is rupees 4. At the end of the fourth month, installment paid is rupees 100. Interest is 2, which is the monthly rate of interest, multiplied by 1 because payment has to be made for only 1 more month. So 2 multiplied by 1 is rupees 2. At the end of the fifth month, the installment paid is rupees 100. There's no interest to be paid because at the end of the fifth month, uh, the debt is paid off. So now the amount paid is equal to principal plus interest. So here the amount paid is 100 plus 100 plus 100 plus 100 plus 100, which is 500, plus the interest is 8 plus 6 plus 4 plus 2, which is 20. So the amount paid is 500 plus 20, which is rupees 520, when the monthly installment is rupees 100. Now we are asked to find what is the monthly installment if the amount is rupees 13,000. So if amount is rupees 520, then monthly installment is rupees 100. So if amount is rupees 13,000, then monthly installment would be 13,000 multiplied by 100 divided by 520. On solving this, we get the monthly installment as rupees 2,500. The correct answer is option B, 2,500. What quarterly payment will discharge a debt of rupees 17,200 due in 1 year at 20% per annum simple interest? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here debt is given. Debt is nothing but amount. So amount is rupees 17,200. Rate of interest is given as 20% per annum. Here, since quarterly payment is being made, we have to find the quarterly rate of interest. Now, since 1 year has 4 quarters, to find out the quarterly rate of interest, we have to divide this 20 by 4. So 20 by 4 is 5%. So the quarterly rate of interest is 5%. Time is given as 1 year. This means the amount of rupees 17,200 has to be uh, paid off by the end of 1 year. Now 1 year has 4 quarters and we are asked to find the quarterly installment here. So let's assume that the quarterly installment is rupees 100. Now the amount has to be paid off by the end of the fourth quarter. So payment has to be made for 4 quarters. Now each payment includes an installment and an interest. Now installment is the same for all the quarters and this is nothing but the quarterly installment that we have assumed. Now interest for each quarter keeps on changing because the number of quarters remaining to be paid keeps on decreasing. So at the end of the first quarter, installment is rupees 100. Interest is 5, which is the quarterly rate of interest, multiplied by 3 because payment has to be made for 3 more quarters. So 5 multiplied by 3 is rupees 15. At the end of the second quarter, installment is rupees 100. Interest is 5, which is the quarterly rate of interest, multiplied by 2 because payment has to be made for 2 more quarters. So 5 multiplied by 2 is rupees 10. At the end of the third quarter, installment is rupees 100. Interest is 5, which is the quarterly rate of interest, multiplied by 1 because because the payment has to be made for one more quarter. So 5 multiplied by 1 is rupees 5. At the end of the fourth quarter, the installment is rupees 100. No more interest has to be paid because the loan is paid off at the end of the fourth quarter. There is no more outstanding balance. So now the total amount paid is 100 plus 100 plus 100 plus 100, which is 400, plus 15 plus 10 plus 5, which is 30. So the total amount paid is 400 plus 30, which is rupees 430, when the quarterly installment is rupees 100. Now here we are asked to find the quarterly payment when the amount is rupees 17,200. So if the amount paid is rupees 430, then quarterly installment is rupees 100. So if amount is rupees 17,200, then quarterly installment is 17,200 multiplied by 100 divided by 430. And on solving this, we get the quarterly installment as rupees 4,000. So the correct answer is option C, 4,000. What half-yearly payment will discharge a debt of rupees 6,720 due in 2 years at 16% per annum simple interest? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here debt is given. Debt is nothing but amount. So amount is rupees 6,720. Rate of interest is given as 16% per annum. Now since here half yearly payment is being made, we have to find the half yearly rate of interest. Now since there are 2 half years in a year, to find half yearly rate of interest, we have to divide 16 by 2. So 16 by 2 is 8%. So 8% is the half yearly rate of interest. Now it's given that time is 2 years. This means the amount of rupees 6,720 has to be repaid by the end of 2 years. Now 2 years means 4 half years. So the amount has to be repaid at the end of 4 half years, at the end of the fourth half year. Now here we are asked to find the half yearly installment. So let's assume that the half yearly installment is rupees 100. Now the amount has to be repaid at the end of 4 half years. So payment has to be made for 4 half years. Now payment includes an installment plus an interest. Now the installment is the same for all the half years. It is the half yearly installment that we have assumed. The interest for each half year is different because the number of half years to be paid keeps on decreasing. So at the end of the first year, installment is rupees 100. Interest is 8, which is the half yearly rate of interest, multiplied by 3 because payment has to be made for 3 more half years. So 8 multiplied by 3 is rupees 24. At the end of the second half year, installment is rupees 600. Interest is 8, which is the half yearly rate of interest, multiplied by 2 because payment has to be made for 2 more half years. So 8 multiplied by 2 is rupees 16. At the end of the third year, installment is rupees 100. Interest is 8, which is the half yearly rate of interest, multiplied by 1 because payment has to be made for one more half year. So 8 multiplied by 1 is rupees 8. At the end of the fourth half year, installment is rupees 100. The amount is paid off at the end of the fourth half year. So no more interest has to be paid. So now the total amount paid is 100 plus 100 plus 100 plus 100, which is 400, plus 24 plus 16 plus 8, which is 48. So the total amount paid is 400 plus 48, which is rupees 448, when the half yearly installment is rupees 100. Now here we are asked to find the half yearly payment when the amount is rupees 6,720. So if the amount paid is rupees 448, then half yearly installment is rupees 100. If the amount is rupees 6,720, then half yearly installment is 6,720 multiplied by 100 divided by 448. On solving this, we get the half yearly installment as rupees 1,500. So the correct answer is option A, 1,500. Suresh borrowed rupees 6,450 at 5% per annum simple interest, repayable in 4 equal annual installments. What will be the annual installment? Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here the principal is given, but we do not know what is the amount or debt that is to be repaid. So first we have to find the debt. Now we know that debt is equal to principal plus simple interest. Now it's given that the principal is rupees 6,450, but we do not know what is the simple interest. So we have to now find what is the simple interest. Then we can easily find what is the debt. Now simple interest can be found out using the formula PRT divided by 100. Simple interest is equal to PRT divided by 100. Now we know that P is 6,450, R is given as 5% per annum, and T is 4 years. So substituting these values in the formula here, we get SI is equal to 6,450 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 4 divided by 100. On solving this, we get SI is equal to rupees 1,290. Now we know that the principal is rupees 6,450. Simple interest is rupees 1,290. So debt is equal to rupees 6,450 plus rupees 1,290, which is rupees 7,740. So this debt of rupees 7,740 has to be repaid in 4 equal annual installments. That is, this has to be repaid in 4 years. Now we are asked to find what is the annual installment. So let's assume that the annual installment is rupees 100. Then this debt has to be repaid in 4 years. Now this payment includes both installment and interest. Now it's given that the annual installment is the same for the 4 years, because it's given that the debt is repaid in 4 equal annual installments. So the annual installment is the same for the 4 years. Now at the end of the first year, installment is rupees 100. Interest is 5, which is the rate of interest given, multiplied by 3 because still payment has to be made for 3 more years. So 5 multiplied by 3 is rupees 15. Now at the end of the second year, installment is rupees 100. Interest is 5, which is the rate of interest, multiplied by 2 because payment has to be made for 2 more years. So 5 multiplied by 2 is rupees 10. At the end of the third year, installment is rupees 100. Interest is 5, which is the rate of interest, multiplied by 1 because payment has to be done for 1 more year. So 5 multiplied by 1 is rupees 5. At the end of the fourth year, the installment is rupees 100. there's no more interest to be paid because by the end of the 4th year, the debt is repaid. Now the total amount paid here is 100 plus 100 plus 100 plus 100, which is 400, plus 15 plus 10 plus 5, which is 30. So total amount paid is 400 plus 30, which is rupees 430 when the annual installment is rupees 100. Now we know that the um, debt is rupees 7,740. So we have to find the annual installment for this amount. Now, if amount is rupees 430, then annual installment is rupees 100. So if amount is 7,740, then annual installment would be 7,740 multiplied by 100 divided by 430. On simplifying this, we get the annual installment as rupees 1,800. The correct answer is option D, 1,800. The annual installment of rupees 2,000 in 5 years will discharge a debt of which amount at 12% per annum. Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here the annual installment is given and we are asked to find the debt. Now it's given that the annual installment is rupees 2,000, rate of interest is 12% per annum and time is 5 years and we have to find the debt. So the debt has to be repaid in 5 years. Now this payment includes both the installment and the interest. Now the installment is the same for all the 5 years. So at the end of the first year, installment is rupees 2,000. Interest is 2,000, which is the installment, annual installment, multiplied by 12, which is the rate of interest, multiplied by 4 because payment has to be made for 4 more years, divided by 100. Now this is nothing but 20 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 4. Now you don't always have to go through all these steps. You can directly use this step. Here 20 is common for all the years. So 20 multiplied by 12, which is the rate of interest, multiplied by 4 because payment has to be made for 4 more years. This is nothing but rupees 960. Now at the end of the second year, installment is rupees 2,000. Interest is 20 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 3. 3 because payment has to be made for 3 more years. So 20 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 3 is rupees 720. Now at the end of the third year, installment is rupees 2,000. Interest is 20 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 2. 2 because payment still has to be made for 2 more years. 20 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 2 is rupees 480. At the end of the fourth year, installment is rupees 2,000. Interest is 20 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 1. 1 because payment has to be made for 1 more year. So 20 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 1 is rupees 240. At the end of the fifth year, installment is rupees 2,000. But there is no interest to be paid because at the end of the fifth year, the debt is repaid. Now the total amount paid here is 2,000 plus 2,000 plus 2,000 plus 2,000 plus 2,000, which is 10,000, plus 960 plus 720 plus 480 plus 240, which is 2,400. So the total amount paid is rupees 10,000 plus rupees 2,400, which is nothing but rupees 12,400. So the debt is rupees 12,400. Correct answer is option A, 12,400. A watch is sold for rupees 440 cash or for rupees 200 down payment in cash together with rupees 244 to be paid after 1 month. Find the rate of interest charged in the installment scheme. Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here you are given that the cost of the watch is rupees 450 and a down payment of rupees 200 is made in cash. So the principal would be rupees 440 minus rupees 200, which is rupees 240. Now after the down payment is made, rupees 244 has to be paid after 1 month. So amount is rupees 244 and we are asked to find what is the rate of interest. Now we can find the rate of interest using the formula 100 multiplied by SI divided by PT. Now first let's look at the simple interest. Now we know that amount is rupees 244 and principal is rupees 240. So interest is 244 minus 240, which is rupees 4. So simple interest is rupees 4. Now let's look at the principal. Now it's given that rupees 244 is paid after 1 month. This means rupees 244 is paid at the end of the first month. So since we know that the principal is rupees 240, the principal for the first month remains rupees 240 because rupees 244 is paid after 1 month. So principal for the first month is rupees 240 and at the end of the first month rupees 244 is paid and the loan is cleared. Now let's look at the time. Now for time, you have to see in the question whether time is given in months or years. If it is given in months, then you have to take time as 1 month. If it is given in years, then you have to take time as 1 year. Now in this problem, you can see that the time is given in months. So you have to take time as 1 month. Now 1 month is nothing but 1 by 12 year. Now substituting all these in the formula here, we get R is equal to 100 multiplied by 4 divided by 240 multiplied by 1 by 12. On solving this, we get R is equal to 20, which means rate of interest is 20% per annum. So the correct answer is option C, 20%. A fan is available for rupees 600 or for rupees 300 down payment in cash together with rupees 360 to be paid after 2 months. Find the rate of interest charged under this scheme. Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here it's given that the cost of the fan is rupees 600 and a down payment is made in cash of rupees 300. So principal is equal to 600 minus 300, which is rupees 300. It's also given that rupees 360 has to be paid after 2 months. So the amount to be paid is rupees 360 and we are asked to find the rate of interest. Now rate of interest can be found out using the formula R is equal to 100 multiplied by SI divided by PT. Now let's look at the simple interest. Now we know that amount is rupees 360, principal is rupees 300. So interest is equal to rupees 360 minus rupees 300, which is rupees 60. So the simple interest is rupees 60. Now let's look at the principal. Now it's given that rupees 360 is paid after 2 months. This means rupees 360 is paid at the end of 2 months. Now we know that the principal is rupees 300. So since rupees 360 is paid after 2 months, the principal for the first 2 months is rupees 300 multiplied by 2, which is rupees 600. Now after 2 months, rupees 360 is paid and the loan is cleared. So the effective principal here is rupees 600. Now let's look at time. Now when you look at the question, you can see that time is given in months. So take time as 1 month. Now 1 month is nothing but 1 by 12 year. Now don't get confused because two months is given in the question. Now it does not matter uh, what is the number of months given in the question. You just have to see whether time is given in months or years in the question. If it's given in months, then take time as 1 month. If it's given in years, take time as 1 year. Now here, since time is given in months, you have to take time as 1 month. Now 1 month is nothing but 1 by 12 year. Now substituting all these values in the formula here, we get R is equal to 100 multiplied by 60 divided by 600 multiplied by 1 by 12. On solving this, we get R is equal to 120, which means the rate of interest is 120%. So the correct answer is option C, 120%. Mahesh borrowed rupees 6,000 from a bank at simple interest. After 4 years, he paid rupees 3,200 to the bank. And after the next 3 years, he paid rupees 4,258 and cleared all his dues. Find the rate of interest. Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. Now it's given that the principal is rupees 6,000. And the amount that Mahesh pays to clear his dues is given as rupees 3,200 plus 4,258, which is nothing but rupees 7,458. So Mahesh pays an amount of rupees 7,458 to clear his dues, and we are asked to find the rate of interest. Rate of interest can be found out using the formula R is equal to 100 multiplied by SI divided by PT. Now let's look at SI. Now it's given that the amount is 7,458, principal is 6,000. So interest is 7,458 minus 6,000, which is rupees 1,458. Let's look at the principal now. It's given that rupees 3,200 is paid after 4 years. So for the first 4 years, the principal would be rupees 6,000 multiplied by 4, which is rupees 24,000. Now this rupees 3,200 is paid after 4 years. We know that the principal is rupees 6,000. So 6,000 minus 3,200 is rupees 2,800. So the principal now is rupees 2,800. But the next payment that Mahesh does is after the next 3 years. So the principal for the next 3 years would be rupees 2,800 multiplied by 3, which is rupees 8,400. So after the next 3 years, 4,258 rupees is paid and the loan is cleared. Now the effective principal here is 24,000 plus 8,400, which is rupees 32,400. Now let's look at the time. As you can see from the question, it's clear that the time is given in years. So we have to take time as 1 year. Now substituting all these values in the formula here, we get R is equal to 100 multiplied by 1,458 divided by 32,400 multiplied by 1. On solving this, we get R is equal to 4.5, which means the rate of interest is 4.5%. The correct answer is option C, 4.5%. A pair of shoes costs rupees 2,400. Keshav purchases it for rupees 1,000 down payment in cash and 2 monthly installments of rupees 800 each. Find the rate of interest. Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here it's given that the cost of the shoes is rupees 2,400 and Keshav makes a down payment of rupees 1,000. So the principal is rupees 2,400 minus 1,000, which is rupees 1,400. It's also given that Keshav makes 2 monthly installments of rupees 800 each to repay the loan. So amount is equal to 800 multiplied by 2, which is rupees 1,600, and we are asked to find the rate of interest. Rate of interest can be found out using the formula R is equal to 100 multiplied by SI divided by PT. So first let's look at SI. Now we know that amount is 1,600, principal is 1,400. So interest is 1,600 minus 1,400, which is rupees 200. So simple interest is rupees 200. Now let's look at the principal. Now it's given that rupees 800 is paid in 2 monthly installments. This means rupees 800 is paid at the end of the first month and then another rupees 800 is paid at the end of the second month. Now we know that the principal is rupees 1,400 and it's given that rupees 800 is paid at the end of the first month. So for the first month, the principal would be rupees 1,400. Now at the end of the first month, rupees 800 is paid. So for the second month, the principal would be 1,400 minus 800, which is rupees 600. So for the second month, principal is rupees 600. Now at the end of the second month, another rupees 800 is paid and the loan is cleared. Now the effective principal here is rupees 1,400 plus rupees 600, which is rupees 2,000. So the effective principal is rupees 2,000. Now let's look at the time. Now when you look at the question, you will see that time is given in months. So take time as 1 month. 1 month is nothing but 1 by 12 year. So substituting all these values in the formula here, we get R is equal to 100 multiplied by 200 divided by 2000 multiplied by 1 by 12. On solving this, we get R is equal to 120, which means the rate of interest is 120%. So the correct answer is option C, 120%. A cell phone costs rupees 4,500. Ashok purchases it for rupees 1,100 down payment in cash and 5 monthly installments of rupees 700 each. Find the rate of interest. Here you are given 4 options and you have to find out which of these options is the correct one. So here it's given that the cell phone costs rupees 4,500. Ashok purchases it by making a down payment of rupees 1,100. So the principal now is 4,500 minus 1,100, which is rupees 3,400. It's also given that Ashok makes 5 monthly installments of rupees 700 each to clear the remaining balance. So the amount is rupees 700 multiplied by 5, which is rupees 3,500. So Ashok has to pay an amount of rupees 3,500 to clear the loan. Now we are asked to find the rate of interest. Now rate of interest can be found out using the formula R is equal to 100 multiplied by SI divided by PT. Now let's look at SI. Now we know that amount is rupees 3,500, principal is rupees 3,400. So interest is 3,500 minus 3,400, which is rupees 100. So simple interest is rupees 100. Now let's look at the principal. Now it's given that rupees 700 is paid in 5 monthly installments. This means rupees 500 each is paid at the end of each month for 5 months. Now we know that the principal is rupees 3,400 and it's given that rupees 700 is paid at the end of the first month. So for the first month, the principal would be rupees 3,400. Now at the end of the first month, rupees 700 is paid. So the principal for the second month would be rupees 3,400 minus 700, which is rupees 2,700. Now at the end of the second month, another rupees 700 is paid. So the principal for the third month would be 2,700 minus 700, which is rupees 2,000. At the end of the third month, another rupees 700 is paid. So the principal for the fourth month would be rupees 2,000 minus 700, which is rupees 1,300. At the end of the fourth month, another rupees 700 is paid. So the principal for the fifth month would be 1,300 minus 700, which is rupees 600. Now at the end of the fifth month, the final payment of rupees 700 is made and the loan is cleared. Now the effective principal here is 3,400 plus 2,700 plus 2,000 plus 1,300 plus 600, which is rupees 10,000. So the effective principal is rupees 10,000. Now let's look at time. Now when you look at the question, you will see that time is given in months. So take time as 1 month, which is nothing but 1 by 12 year. Now substituting all these values in the formula here, we get R is equal to 100 multiplied by 100 divided by 10,000 multiplied by 1 by 12. On solving this, we get R is equal to 12, which means the rate of interest is 12%. So the correct answer is option B, 12%. Viewers, please go through this video till you have understood the concept. Practice more such problems to increase your speed and also to understand the concept clearly. Please do watch all our videos on compound interest. If you have liked this video, please like, subscribe and share this video. Thank you.